Hey, third graders. Welcome to our language lesson for today. We will be on page 81, all right? Go ahead and go to page 81 in our language lessons. It's a review. We're going to do a review today and tomorrow because I believe on Monday I would like for you to take your language test on Jupiter, okay? Alrighty, so please be on page 81. This is very similar to the homework you did on page 79, but I want to review it with you anyway. So let's pretend you are going to write a letter out to someone. And when we write letters, we have to make sure that on the envelope, on this left-hand corner or the right-hand corner, we put where it's coming from. Because just in case the letter gets lost, it could be returned to the sender. Or if you just want to know who it's from, you can look in that corner. So here in this corner, we will have the from part. So I'm going to write it nicely. I'm going to write Miss, and I can abbreviate here. Katie, capital K. They didn't capitalize there, so we need to capitalize. Katie Smoke. Ooh, cool last name, right? Next, we need to write where she lives. So 841 is a number of the building. So we've got 841, and then we have the street name, which is really weird because it's called Crooked Lane. The initials LN stand for lane, and I need to capitalize crooked. So I've got crooked, capital C, crooked, and then capital L for lane, like that. And I'll put a period because it's like an abbreviation. Now, she lives in a city called Bear. The next part that we write is a city, so it's Bear. And then I'll put a comma after that because remember, we separate cities from state names with a comma. And she lives in the state of Delaware. So I'm not going to write the whole word Delaware. I believe the abbreviation for Delaware is capital D E. That's Delaware. And then I need to put the zip code. Now, their zip code starts with a 1. Our zip code in California starts with a 9. So I'm going to put 19701. So that's Katie Smoke. She is sending out a letter. And to whom? Well, she's sending it out to Dr. Peter W. Jones. And he also lives in Delaware. In fact, he lives in Manor, Delaware. But notice how his zip code is different. So he lives in a completely different city. His zip code does start with 197, but ends with 20. So we write that part here. Okay, notice how it's important. It's in the middle. It's like front and center. So I'm going to put Dr. capital D R period. Peter is capitalized like Peter Parker, Spider-Man. W, capitalized W with a period because it's an initial. And then Jones is capitalized as well. So Dr. Peter W. Jones. Next, I'm going to write his address. So I start with the building number, which is 9350. And he lives on a street called Wildwood Road. Pretty cool. So I'm going to write out wild and I'm going to capitalize it. Wood, I'm going to capitalize that too. Oops. And then road, capitalize RD period because it's an abbreviation. Now, like I pointed out earlier, he lives in a city called Manor, capital MNOR, and I need to put a comma after that. And then Delaware, which we abbreviated to DE, capital DE, and then the zip code, 19720. Now, I hope because you're home now, you can look for the mail and you can look for those return addresses, like the from and the to, return address. So later on today, or even tomorrow, look out for the mail. And if it comes in an envelope, look for the return address and then to whom it's addressed. Let's continue to the bottom part, right here. We're going to use proofreader marks to add all necessary capital letters, necessary commas, and punctuation marks and quotation marks. Number 1, Mrs. Harper asked, did you know that Delaware is almost the smallest state? And it is a small state. It's super tiny when you find it on the map. So she's asking a question, right? So at the end, I need to put a question mark because she's asking a question. And I'm going to capitalize some letters here, like starting with Mrs., right? Harper, that's her name. And then since I'm in a speech bubble, right? When I'm in a speech bubble, everything inside the speech bubble goes inside the quotation marks, but they have to start with a capital letter. Pretend that's Mrs. Harper. So I'm going to capitalize the D in did. And I'm also going to capitalize the D in Delaware because that's the name of a state. I don't need to capitalize state right here because it's a common noun. It's just a regular noun. But I do need to put quotation marks because she's speaking. So I'm going to put quotation marks right here at did and over here after the question mark because it's everything she's saying exactly word for word what she's saying in her speech bubble. I'm going to use a different color. Okay, number 2. Nick said, I learned that Rhode Island is the smallest state. Oh, he's right. Rhode Island is a small state. All right, so let's start with step 1. We've got to capitalize a few things like Nick. And I. Oh man, that bothers me when the I is not capitalized by itself. Rhode Island is the name of a state. Ironically, it's not an island. Huh. So I'm going to capitalize Rhode and Island. And that's it. Again, I don't need to capitalize the word state because it's just a common noun. I do need to put period somewhere, right? Like right here. I don't need to put any commas anywhere. But since Nick is speaking, there's dialogue tag said we need to figure out what he's saying in his speech bubble. He is saying, I learned that Rhode Island is the smallest state. All right, number 3. Remember, you can always pause the video if you need to or rewind, okay? Number 3. Dad said that we will be able to visit our grandparents this summer. All right, so let's first of all do step 1 of finding anything we need to capitalize, like the D in dad. And that's basically it. We don't need to capitalize grandparents because we're not calling out to them. We're not addressing them and calling them by name. Neither do we need to capitalize the word summer because it's the name of a season. So D and dad is the only thing we need to capitalize. We do need to put an end punctuation. It's a declarative sentence. However, if you notice this, we don't know exactly what dad's saying. Maybe dad said, we're going to see grandma and grandpa next summer. Maybe that's what he said, but I don't know exactly what he said. So I don't need to put quotation marks anywhere. Even though there's a dialogue tag here, I honestly don't know exactly word for word what he said. So I don't need to put any quotation marks anywhere because I don't know what he said in the speech bubble. Maybe he said, we'll see them next summer. Or maybe he said, yeah, we'll go there to visit them next summer. I don't know. So I'm not going to do anything with quotation marks. Number 4. Where do your grandparents live, Peter? Okay, okay, let's do step 1 again, where we have to look for capital letters like where, right? W and where. And Peter. Again, Peter Parker's involved. Now, grandparents does not need to be capitalized because I'm not calling out to them. I'm not saying, hey, grandparents, or hey, grandma, hey, grandpa. So I don't need to capitalize them. I'm talking about them. I'm not talking to them. I am talking to someone named Peter. Now, I know there's no dialogue tag, so I don't need quotation marks, but I am talking to Peter, so I need to put a comma right there. So you see where I put the comma? It's like after live or live, sorry. And then I'll put a period. Where do you grant? Oh, not a period. Oh my word! I just realized it's supposed to be a question mark. Silly Miss Tavera. Silly Miss Tavera. All right. Number 5. Yes, you may write a letter to your friend. All right. So let's capitalize some things, like the Y and yes at the very beginning of the sentence. I don't need to capitalize friend. I'm not calling out to a friend. I'm not saying, hey, friend. I'm not doing that. I'm just talking about a friend. That's basically it. And since this is a declarative sentence, I can put a period after friend. And I can put a comma after yes, because I remember the rules from yesterday's lesson. If you want to look at page 80, it has the comma rules. You put a comma after the word yes if it's at the beginning of the sentence. So, boom, comma. And Please be sure to ask me any questions if you have any at our meeting. Number next, write C. Write an exclamatory sentence that uses quotation marks. Oh, this is neat. You can share this at our meeting, but I'm gonna try to help you out. And I don't want you to necessarily copy mine. I'm just gonna give you an idea. So I'm gonna use black, and it has to be an exclamatory sentence, meaning you're expressing strong emotions, you're happy. Sometimes you can be mad, but it's mostly happy, right? So I'll start with me. I'll start with myself. April Joy laughed. Remember, you can use any dialogue tag you want. You can say laughed, you can say cried, or you can say exclaimed, or you can say shouted because it's, when you shout, you are expressing strong feeling. You can say yelled. Okay. So April Joy laughed. I just chose to say laughed. April Joy laughed. Now I'm going to say something in my speech bubble, so I put a comma there, and then I'm going to put quotation marks because I'm going to say something. April Joy laughed. You are so funny. You are so funny. And I'm going to make it an exclamation mark because I'm looking for exclamatory sentences. You are so funny, quotation mark. Now you can create your own, you can use your own name, and then you can use one of these dialogue tags here, like Haley exclaimed, and what did you say, Haley? I don't know. Leslie shouted. So what did you say, Leslie? So that's up to you. You can use these dialogue tags. And I made this example because I wanted to help you out, but I don't want you to copy mine. I want you to think of your own and make sure it's an exclamatory sentence. Alrighty, third graders. So I hope this helped you out. Again, if you need to go back in the video and rewind, that's cool too. But we're just reviewing for a test that we'll hopefully be able to take on Monday on Jupyter. And remember to watch the math video, and if you have any questions, please bring them up to our meeting. Thanks, third graders!